Café and Networking Podcast promotes successful business owners, business experts throughout the world. I'm Tom Reaoch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people from my unique communication lab in Brazil. And today we talk with Chrissy Bernal, and she's joining us from Houston, Texas. Chrissy Bernal is an author, brand consultant, helping brands grow with intention and less stress. Brand acceleration for authors, podcasters, and influencers. So, Chrissy, what's the most important thing when growing your brand?
Well, Tom, the most important thing that someone needs to do when they are growing their brand is to get clarity. And there are three particular areas where they need clarity. The first one is their message. So they need to be very clear with what they're saying to their audience so that their audience can clearly and easily understand what it is they do. And then the second is their vision. If they don't have clarity on their vision, they don't know where they're going, the team doesn't know where they're going, and it's going to be very hard to actually gain any traction if you don't know where you're going. So be very clear on your vision. Mm-hmm. And the third thing is to be very clear on what you offer. So no hemming and hawing when somebody says, how can I buy from you? You need to know what it is you sell and how much you sell it for.
So here's the checkout counter, right?
Exactly. You know,
today it's not even that. You just pass your card or show me your phone and that's it. Done deal.
Well, and you know, your website, I have seen so many people don't even put a CTA right there on the website, right front and center. And that's one of the biggest mistakes. Tell people how they can buy from you. So be clear on your messaging. So again, messaging, what is it that you're saying? What is your message? And then 2, your vision, where are you going? And 3, what do you offer?
Now today, and you mentioned, I seen on your site, it's brand acceleration for authors, podcasters, and influencers. Yes. Today we see that it's those 3 things could be the same person.
Exactly. And a lot of times they are, which is very smart because you should have a variety of angles from which you can get either an increase in audience or an increase in income, which often go hand in hand.
But again, it follows clarity. We're saying the vision and what you're offering should sort of be the same across all 3.
Well, you just need clarity in general. When I first started out, I felt like I was all over the place and I felt like, oh, I can do it all. I can do everything. There's so many things. You know, yes, sure, there are several things that you can do, but narrow it down so that you're clear on exactly what it is you do. And you can have other offshoots of what you do, but your main message needs to be very, very clear.
So that's the lightning rod. That's the power of attraction.
Exactly. So yes, while I work with people who aren't authors, again, my main message is authors. So.
Well, and to that point, I think everyone should, because everybody has a story to tell.
Oh, 100%. Everyone has a story to tell. And you know what? Even if your story you think is boring, I guarantee you someone else is in the same situation and would love to hear your story.
Well, I don't think mine's boring because I keep telling everybody and I just find new people to tell it to. You know, it becomes boring if you just say it to the same person.
And I didn't mean yours is boring. I meant if one thinks their story is boring.
No, but to the point, if you do have the story and you do have the book, you have to create the reach because it's just not saying the same thing to the same audience.
Yes. Unfortunately, the average author only sells about 300 books. And so you can't just write the book and put it out there. And if you've ever written a book, you know just how much work it is. So if you're going to do it, you might as well go all out and actually put some effort and some oomph behind it. And when my first book came out back in 2010, I remember being told that it was vain to do my marketing. I shouldn't talk about my book. That was the dumbest advice I could have ever gotten. So I don't want authors to fall into that same trap. So talk about your book.
Well, that's a cultural thing even here in Brazil of learning how to sell yourself. When we talk about branding, people find that sometimes offensive.
Yes.
And they say, you're too objective. You're too forthcoming. But if you don't do it, who's going to do it?
You know, that's very true. And there are ways to make sure that it doesn't come off as if it's just me. And that's where your messaging comes in. So if you would position your messaging as if you're not the hero, but your audience is,
Right.
and it's what they can get from reading your book or engaging with you, or how life's going to be better for them after they engage with you, read your book, buy your service, whatever. That's how you can come off as not vain.
And again, help spreading the message. Then that's the referral, because if you help someone, they'll tell somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's just how it permeates the world.
I personally love the story brand framework when it comes to messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a Donald Miller over here in the US. He's the one who created that framework. And I think it's a brilliant framework to follow.
No, and to that point, I think when we're talking about the world and we're talking about books, having a title and registering that title, that becomes part of your legacy. That will be there forever. After I'm gone, the title of my book will be there.
Absolutely.
And people will know that. And for any author, that's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it will continue to speak to generations, even if it's just one person.
Right.
It will continue to reach people, and it can greatly affect someone's life. I have to say that my own development comes mostly in part from books.
Mm-hmm. Well, and book, I mentioned that. My book is my best business card.
Absolutely. And I think you said it gets you into speaking gigs, right? Or allows you to get speaking gigs.
No, and from my book, I was invited so many times to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they want to hear the story, and even the story about the book. That became a story. Because one of the things that I wanted to learn was the process of making a book.
Oh gosh,
because
yes.
I was hung up on writing, but I said, how do you make a book? And I found it. Then you start talking about making a book, and back to what I said, everybody has something that could be put into a book. Just have to learn how to make it, and that's a process.
And a lot of people think that a book is harder than a podcast, but as you probably know, nope, they both take a lot of work.
Well, yeah, there's no free lunch for anything. Everything, there's work. You just can't sit back in any profession and just watch it happen.
Right.
You have to make it happen. You have to engage. You have to be part of it.
Right.
And the more you are part of it, I think that comes back to the people feel that you're real. Today we see so many fake things out there. So authenticity is also a mark that you need to work on.
Absolutely. Which again, having your message being clear and authentic, and having that vision that exactly where you're going, those oftentimes show your authenticity. So for me particularly, like my vision includes my belief statement, which
Mm-hmm.
is I believe that women should embrace their worth and confidently pursue the success they desire. And that came from just seeing that I'm not sure how it is over in Brazil, but in the US, female entrepreneurs make half of what their male counterparts make. And I just thought that was plain wrong.
No, it is plain wrong. And here's the same thing. It's not different. One of my speaking, and I mentioned at the beginning, I'm the king of networking. So my key was the word networking. I became a speaker about networking, how to network.
Nice.
And even here, and you've seen that yourself there, women, it's a challenge for women to network, all right?
Yes.
And even here in Brazil, Brazil's a macho society, so women in business, they tend to group together, which is not bad, it's good. Because even trying to face men in a business setting is a challenge. And back to what you said, they may make half or even less than what men do. So Manny and I was one of the first to create a networking speech, all right?
That's awesome.
To female groups.
That's awesome.
And I did that really just to help women understand how they need to network, not only among themselves, but how do you network with men? Because men don't know how to react to women in a business setting, period.
Right. Well, and that goes back to your messaging as well, and getting the clarity on that, because when you're clear on your message and having your elevator pitch and, all of that, it can roll off so much more confidently and take a lot of pressure off, because when you're networking, a lot of times it's really nerve-wracking. Oh my gosh, what am I going to say when this person asks, what do you do?
Right.
And you don't want to just ramble off. So having a clear message makes it so much easier to, one, take the nerves off, and two, make it so that the other person is actually interested in hearing what you have to say.
Right, and you keep practicing that. Like you said, you can be clear, but you need to practice clarity.
Yes.
And refine that just doing it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, very good, Chrissy. I want to thank you for being part. Now, how can our listeners find you?
Well, I am on all the predominant social media networks. So you can just type in my name, Chrissy Bernal, and the last name is spelled B as in boy, Ernal. And you can go to either my personal website, which is just my first and last name.com, chrissybernal.com, or my company is beabetterbrand.com. And in general, you can just Google me. We do pop up quite easily, my family.
Very good. Well, thanks again, Chrissy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Tom.
And for our audience, it is Chrissy Bernal, and the first name is Chrisssy, and the last name Bernal. Find her at beabetterbrand.com or chrissybernal.com. Also on LinkedIn. Café and Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Thanks for listening until the next time here at Café and Networking Podcast.